as we traverse the cosmic highway of paranormal pit stops and tantalizing turnoffs. I'm excited with my guest tonight, Lisa Barretta. We are going to discuss metaphysics and inking, as in tattoos. So this is a new one for me, and I'm guessing a new one for a lot of you out there as well. So this will turn out to be, I think, a very interesting and fun conversation. And, of course, it would be remiss to remind you that this show is not live. It is a recorded podcast, though it is fit within a 2-hour time slot every Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are listening, I'm sorry you cannot call in because we're not here. But you could always go to the Instagram page for Paranormal Now, at Paranormal Now, and send me a direct message, or you can go to at Paranormal Now Radio on Facebook and send in your questions and comments there. As always, ways to listen: Live 365, Stitcher Radio, Nobex Radio, TuneIn, iTunes Radio, Streama, Shoutcast, Winamp, WinMedia Player, QuickTime, IRN Roku channel. And if you don't have access to a computer or a smartphone, you can call from your landline or cell phone to listen in free. And that number is 401-283-6700. And that's for the live 24-hour, 7 days a week stream. So again, that number is 401-283-6700. And that's it. So now for your paranormal words of wisdom by MJ Lucas from IRN. Yes, thank you, MJ. We appreciate that. Now I'm going to bring on my guest, which I'm very excited about, because this is a very, very fresh and new topic for me to discuss, and it's a very personal topic, because for some time now, I have, well, I would say a good 20 years, I've been considering getting a tattoo, and it hasn't been until, I guess, about 6 months ago, I had finally decided on the tattoo that I wanted to get. And so I've been, little by little working out how exactly I'm going to get it done. And now that I've read this book, Conscious Ink, by Lisa Barretta, it's delaying that process a little more, because now I have to think about more things about my tattoo, where to put it, what color. So I won't get into too much detail about the tattoo that I'm planning on right now. But after 20 years of thinking, I just want one tattoo, and I want it to be the right one. I think I'm there, and I think I've got it. So our guest tonight is Lisa Barretta. She is a well-known, established intuitive counselor, Reiki practitioner, and astrologer. During the past 35 years, she has developed a client base that spans North America, the United Kingdom, and Europe. Lisa is an authority on consciousness, specializing in spiritual evolution and the paranormal. The executive producer of Surviving Death, a Paranormal Debate, she is also the author of the Book of Transformation and The Street Smart Psychic's Guide to Getting a Good Reading. The book tonight that we'll be discussing of hers is Conscious Ink, Mystical, Magical, and Transformative Art You Dare to Wear. Otherwise, I think the other subtitle is The Hidden Meaning of Tattoos. So, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about it. As I mentioned, reading the book and planning on getting a tattoo, it has changed my approach a little bit. Because one of the things that you bring up are the chakra systems, and how where you place the tattoo has a certain effect, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get into that, and I'll let you take the reins. But before we start talking specifically about tattoos, could you tell us a little bit more about your past and your metaphysical research and experience leading up to this?
Well, I was always interested in the paranormal, metaphysics, and things just seem to evolve through synchronistic events. I'm a big admirer of Dr. Ian Stevenson, how he always said birthmarks can be a sign of past life trauma and also link us into our past life through our consciousness. So I got to thinking, what about tattoos? We willingly put these images on our body, but a lot of people don't realize we're embodying the symbol, the whole experience, the colors, and I start to form a correlation between what Dr. Ian Stevenson thought about birthmarks, and I figured, why not tattoos? They've been around for thousands and thousands of years, too.
What about birthmarks exactly?
With birthmarks, well, Ian Stevenson said a certain type of birthmark, especially the ones that are raised or have like a texture to them, are usually a sign of a mortal wound. And he did extensive research. Unfortunately, there's no funding for the paranormal, so they sort of shut it down when he was at the University of Virginia. And also certain, I know, Asian cultures believe that moles hold a certain significance as far as what they can foretell about your future, your personality, and your direction in life. So once again, this relates back to tattoos, which have been around for thousands of years. The Egyptians used them, ancient indigenous cultures used them, and they do have a very strong connection to the spiritual realms, which really hooked me because I love the paranormal. So that's all I needed to know, and then I just started to research it further, and wow, I got an education too, because when I started the book, I had one tattoo, a very small tattoo that was on the back of my neck, and my hair covered it. I wasn't really, I like tattoos. I never judged anyone for having them, but I myself never went and got tattoos until recently. As a matter of fact, today I just got my 4th tattoo. So
just today, really?
Just today. Yeah.
That's awesome. What was your tattoo?
Well, I have it on my back around the high heart chakra, and I prefer like alchemy symbols. I like to work with symbols a lot. So basically, it almost looks like it's a triangle. Which, as soon as the redness goes away, I'm going to post a picture on Instagram and the Facebook page for Conscious Inc. And it has. I wanted the eye because I wanted. It's the intuitive eye where you see what's before you, what's behind you, the all-knowing eye. And I kind of links into my love of the paranormal and the mysteries and anything that's mysterious. And of course, we went through the colors, and the colors had to vibrate. I have a touch of violet. It's done a henna color with a little bit of black for grounding. And I enjoyed the whole experience because now I know what it is to get a tattoo. So I threw myself into the experience, and wow, it's amazing when you're going through that slight amount of pain. Pain does open the pathways to awareness, and you start to go through all of these different little wormholes in your consciousness. And it's amazing that when you are very present while you're getting that tattoo, the things that come to you, anybody who really sits down and goes for this with the right approach will have a very, very, I can guess you could say, amazing experience, more so than if you just go and slap a picture on. It's the difference between just going online and having 3 tarot cards pulled for your, day's future, or sitting down with someone and getting like a real tarot reading from someone who knows how to do it.
When you got your other tattoos, do you think that intuitively you sort of knew where, without consciously knowing it, but intuitively knew where to put them, associating it with the image?
Yes, because I kind of sat with myself, went through this whole process of like, do I want the tattoo, or what's inside of me that wants to come out, or is there something that I need to add to myself in order to fortify what I already have? And I felt they were more, symbols that were inside of me that were ready to come out. And even with my first tattoo, which I got 17 years ago, even though I did not have the education about tattoos that I have now, when I go rewind and go back, I can see at that time I definitely was crossing a threshold, starting a new avenue of my life. A lot of things were happening, and it was very symbolic of me changing, and it's a very simple glyph for Pisces. And at that time, now that I look back, I was more embodying the nature of my sign with the Pisces, and into the mysteries and the occult and art, drama, and everything else that's related to the sign. So now when I look back, it's like, wow, it did what it was supposed to do, only I wasn't, I guess, conscious of it at the time.
Yeah, we discussed earlier, you live in the Philadelphia area, right?
Yes.
So have you ever been down to South Street?
Oh, many times. I love South Street.
Do you remember South Street like 15, 20 plus years ago? It was kind of a different place, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I just remember as a kid going there, and I remember seeing tattoo shops and like more of the edgy, grungy, alternative lifestyle. And as a little kid, I sort of associated the grungier, outcast lifestyle with the tattoo culture. But you do mention in the book that that's really not the case anymore, right? I mean, there's just so many different kinds of people getting tattoos. It's not taboo like it used to be.
Exactly. I think the millennials have really embraced tattooing because they're all about being authentic. It's not about judgment. And now, everywhere I go, it seems everyone has a tattoo. Or either that, I'm suddenly noticing tattoos. But they're beautiful art forms. And as I was writing the book, I interviewed different tattooists. And they're amazing. Like you said, we usually have this image of bikers or real, grungy type of people that'll rip your heart out. But they're not. These guys are very much into what I would call their modern day ink shamans. They know what a tattoo can do. And I guess this subculture almost has kind of kept this information to themselves. Maybe they didn't think people would understand. But anything you create, art is, it's a creative outlet. Spiritually, that's what it's all about, creating things. So when they get into the art, they're actually creating an image on your skin. And the ones who take it really, really seriously, they'll sit with you. I would say that 98% of the tattooists I interviewed actually will sit with the person. And of course, there are certain, you want a certain thing on you, but they'll ask you, why do you want it? Where do you want it? What color? They'll actually help you, co-create this image for you. Then there, I guess, are the other tattooists that will just you pick a flash design, whatever's hanging on the wall, whatever you want. You want Pokemon, they'll put it on you. And you don't even know why you're getting it. Maybe you're drunk or your friend has it. It's not that it's not meaningful, but if you really approach tattooing the way it is rooted in the ancient indigenous cultures, you can really start to connect in with your consciousness and, almost in a sense that you can ink trip with the tattoo. It's amazing when you really have that mindset and you're approaching it correctly.
Mm-hmm. So almost like the act of sort of, scarring, or I don't know what's the better word, but, cutting your skin, and it's like a
body modification.
Body modification, yeah. Right? But it's not like
it's a blood ritual. Yeah,
it's like a blood ritual. Exactly, that's what I was going for. Thank you. Yeah, I can see that, and if you're drawing down certain energies and focusing your intention while doing this, then that energy stay with you. If you're drunk and you do something, and maybe you're depressed, you're angry, you're pissed, you're drunk, and then you get a badass tattoo, but will that energy that you had with you that night stay with you, because now it's sort of like imbued into your skin and the tattoo and the body.
Exactly, because you're going to embody the whole experience. Even people that have surgeries and they're knocked out during the surgery, mm-hmm. on some level, they're embodying this whole experience. I mean, they're remembering this. Their consciousness is downloading all of this information. So when you get a tattoo, to take it to the spooky edge of it, which I like the best, okay, it's a blood ritual. So all of these cultures, we know blood, we call it our life force. And anybody that gets a little bit deeper into the paranormal knows that they say spirit or other energies are attracted to the blood, to the life force. Mm-hmm. So here we have this ritual. When you come to think of it, it's actually pretty cool. You're working with this other person, and in a sense, you're creating a bond with them. They're creating this art with you, so you're taking on some of their energy too, as the co-creator of your tattoo. So if you're going to a tattooist who's only interested in making the money for the tattoo, that's what you're going to embody. That's what's in the bond, because even something like getting acupuncture, you think you're piercing the skin, but actually the energetic body, which a lot of people aren't aware of, even though we do have it, your aura, when you start to pierce the aura, you're opening a portal. So when you open this portal, are you letting something in? And at the same time, you may be letting something out. Because I've talked to many people who have had tattoos, and they found that maybe for 1 or 2 weeks afterwards, they have these rolling emotions, which was an interesting thing to hear so many people say they have rolling emotions, which made me think, let me put that in the book, because they're probably releasing maybe a long-held trauma. Could it be from this lifetime? Could it be from a prior incarnation? That's why when you sit with your tattoo, it's like, okay, I'm wearing my magic. What is it going to do for me? More so than just the picture. But then again, even the silly tattoos, when someone gets Mickey Mouse, it's meaningful because the tattoos are also embracing a certain archetype that we want to kind of bring out a little bit. So maybe a silly tattoo is just showing the world that, look, you do have a fun side. You're not always uptight or the boss or in charge of something. You do have that lighter side. So they have so many different facets to them, the way art in general does. You have different types of art, modern art, old world art. It's same with tattoos.
And for you, what sort of art style do you prefer in general, or does it not matter? Does each tattoo sort of a statement unto itself?
They're a statement unto themselves. And I mean, I've looked at so many tattoos, and I think they're all beautiful. I prefer more like a fine line tattoo. Mm-hmm. Almost, I guess you could say, the way that Dr. Wu in LA tattoos. But I have a fantastic tattooist. His name is Nick Santiago, Black Sparrow Tattoo in Bristol, PA. He's amazing. I mean, I tell him what he wants. He gets me, and he knows how to adjust the design and work with me. And I really do come out of there feeling transformed. And, I wind up liking it more than I ever thought I would like it. I like the picture, and I like the drawing that I'm giving him, and then I like the stencil that he puts on me. But after it's done, it's like, wow. I really do feel changed by it, but changed in a good way, because it's all about intention. First of all, what is your intention of getting the tattoo? Mm-hmm. So like my intention, the colors, the body placement, and Nick works with you and he gets it just right, and he's good energy, so I resonate with him, so therefore the whole experience is exactly what I want it to be. So that's why it's important. You have to know who's going to do your work too. And
was he in California?
No.
No.
Nick Santiago, no. He is in Bristol, PA.
Okay.
But the style of tattoo that I get that people would probably be familiar with if they would look up Dr. Wu, mm-hmm. He's in LA. He does a lot of fine line tattoos that have some geometric shapes. And I like that, but then I take it a step further. I always like to add some alchemy symbols. Mm-hmm. The old school alchemy symbols that are very geometric. And I go through the symbols and I pretty much ask my body, do I need this? Do I want this? Does it belong here? And it's interesting because we're so used to looking outside of ourselves for answers or for solutions. But when you go inside yourself and start looking inside, everything you need is right there. Especially like even the symbols that you put on it's amazing. Your body kind of has a way of directing you towards what's right for you, even as far as the body placement and the colors. But like I said, that's when you consciously ink, not just say, I want to get a tattoo and let me see, I need something on my leg, so we'll put it here. I mean, it's still an experience, but you're not getting the benefit as if you would really sit with yourself and approach it from I don't want to use the word spiritual because everybody starts thinking I'm, preaching a dogma, but more from the paranormal, the mysterious, mm-hmm. the consciousness, and occult meaning hidden, not, witchcraft, but the occult aspect of the tattoo. It has so much more that's in it than that goes beyond the picture. Occult as in more like an esoteric. Yes, like hidden. If people look mm-hmm. up the word occult, it would mean hidden.
Right. So, as I was sort of, asking before, if you're going through a bad spell and you do get something and whether you're intoxicated or not, whatever the reason is, and it's out of anger or out of spite, is that process of getting a tattoo still therapeutic in some way? Well, you're going to embody all the emotion that's attached with that tattoo. Mm-hmm. Just as people who like to sit and, do magic sigils, they draw their little symbol down, and maybe sometimes if they have a good intention, it's for a positive thing, that sigil is going to hold the power mm-hmm. of their intention. If you're pissed off and you're aggravated and you're doing something and your intention is more, uneven in nature, you're going to embody that. It's the energy that you're creating is what's going to stay with you. Like if you're in that frame of mind and you get a tattoo like that, it may not resonate with your body down the road. So you may decide at some point, like, okay, I don't want to go through the aggravation of having it totally removed. But, mm-hmm. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but we can start to transmute it.
So how do you transmute a bad tattoo? Well, you can transmute it with another symbol. You can add to it. You can start to add a different color to it. And when you add color, you're adding vibration, because colors have a vibration. And so do symbols. You know, say you want to change something because you really just can't live with it anymore. Pick a fire symbol. That doesn't mean flames. I list in the book, I broke down symbols according to elements: fire, air, earth, water, and ether, because we are made up of the elements. So, you know, to change something, fire transmutes energy. So maybe put on a fire symbol. You know, that might start to make that tattoo feel different. Or if you're someone who you feel you just can't get grounded, you're too out there, pick an earth symbol or a symbol that relates to earth. And maybe tattoo that somewhere on your body, maybe close to your ankle or the back of your leg where you need stability or it will resonate, even the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And you start to work with the whole infrastructure of your consciousness, you know, your physical, your spiritual, your mental, emotional, and it's amazing. And some people might think like, well, symbols, you know, that's crazy. But hey, we work with symbols every day. Our language is made up of symbols. Every letter in itself is a symbol. Ancient cultures, all of their languages, hieroglyphics for symbols. And a symbol has a way of really working on our consciousness. That's how come when we see a logo, you know, it tells us everything about the company. You know, we get to equate these logos with what it stands for. And that's what a tattoo is, only it's your personal symbol. And what do you want to say, and what do you feel about yourself, and what do you want to project? It's giving a message deeper than just the picture on your skin.
Well, that brings up something, a point that I was going to hit on, was if you do get something that you get just because you think it's cool looking, whether it's, you know, a wave or you know, a Disney character, whatever it is, you just think it's a really cool thing and you can get it as a tattoo. Not necessarily any sort of emotion or intent behind it. Does the shape, the character, the design of that tattoo, you know, assuming we're going into this neutral and you get this done, does that actual image have any impact on your, you know, spiritual, you know, center or your chakras?
Oh, yeah, because you're embodying the symbol. This symbol's on your skin. It's living, breathing. You know, it's gone through all of your emotional feelings, too. It's different than someone who carries, say, a crystal around for a good luck charm. You take it out of your pocket and you put it down. The vibration is no longer with you. It wears off. Same thing with essential oils. But you're wearing this symbol. And this symbol is woven into your consciousness. It is. We remember everything. You know, even the things we think we don't remember, it's all downloaded into the consciousness. And it's funny that you said wave. My daughter actually got a wave tattoo today. But for her, like somebody might just get a wave because they like the ocean. For her, it represents, she's getting a black belt in Hapkido, so, which is a form of martial arts. So to her, the wave means being fluid, and it has a deeper meaning for her. So someone can get a wave and it could mean, you know, what they're striving for as far as in martial arts, or somebody else gets a wave because they're a surfer. It's what your intention is when you get this symbol. You sort of start to empower it. The same way people who work with, you could say, vision boards, you know, they start to put different things on a vision board thinking that they're, you know, going to start to co-create the reality because it's in front of them. They're envisioning this. Well, with a tattoo, you're basically wearing your own vision board. And
I think there was an image in the book. It was the back of a neck. It was a symbol, like two parallel lines and then a line going through. Was that your tattoo?
That's the Pisces symbol.
Okay. So that's what it was. All right. So when you got that and you put the Pisces symbol there on that specific spot on your neck, you know, what did you think that would do for you?
Well, at the time, I wasn't really aware of the impact of tattoos. Working with, just you could say, my metaphysical knowledge, what I do as an astrologer, this symbol, it's a very simple symbol, but it meant something to me. It represented to me who I am. But like I said, at the time I got it, I wasn't thinking that deeply about the symbols. For some reason, look, I waited a long time. I'm over 40 years old. I'm getting my first tattoo, and I just wanted it, I just wanted a tattoo. As a matter of fact, I went down South Street into one of those grungy shops. The first one was a little bit too grungy. I walked out of that one. I went into a second one. That was okay. And I just told the guy I want a simple tattoo. I want the Pisces symbol. And I did break his stones a little bit about the color. It had to be a certain shade. It probably doesn't show up in the book. It's black and white. But I wanted a certain shade of like violet, and I wanted it outlined in a deep aqua. So maybe on some level I thought, now that I look back, those colors resonate with me, And at the time, like I said, I didn't really know the power behind a tattoo or a symbol, but I guess something inside of me just said, hey, time's right, get that. And it's amazing because I was crossing different thresholds, different things were happening. I was being more directed on the path that I needed to be on. And it's funny. It's when I look back at it, it's like, wow, that opened a door for me.
Yeah, I mean, can if you get a tattoo in the right place at the right time, can that actually open a sort of, spiritual, path for you?
Yeah, it does, yeah. In chapter 4, it's very interesting. It's the magic side of tattoos. The one girl that I feature, Alex March, she's very, very amazing empath. And she has quite a few different tattoos. And she told me she started out being a tattooist where she would tattoo people. And she would find as she was tattooing them, spirit would start to talk to her. She's very empathic.
Wow.
And it kind of threw her a little bit. So she got away from tattooing and now she's just an empath. But she said at certain times when she's giving people a session, certain tattoos will start to almost feel funny or she'll get a message through them. So they work with her in the way that her consciousness needs them to work for her.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like, there's this whole mystical world to tattoos that is somewhat new to me and probably new to a lot of other people who are listening. It's really fascinating. We have to come up to our first break. So for instance, I had thought that I had found someone I thought would be a good tattooist, right? For what I had imagined for myself, based solely on the art that I saw on their website. Okay. But then after reading your book, I started looking for people who had an inclination towards metaphysical art. And then so nothing against that one artist, but then I found someone else who, on their own time, they do paintings, and they do a lot of metaphysical paintings. And not that this is my decision and that's who I'm going to go to, but I thought, maybe someone like this is a better choice for me because I really do want to imbue the right experience and the right energy through the process from start to finish. So could you explain to us? You discussed it in the book. The atmosphere, the person.
Oh yeah. Well, when I found Nick Santiago, my tattooist, I had no idea that he also did Reiki and he was familiar with massage in the body. So when I was talking to him about the tattoo and he's telling me he does all this and he gets it. I mean, we have a lot of common interests. We're both into, ancient aliens, the Anunnaki. So there was this automatic click where I figured, okay, I really like his energy. I love his art, and the shop is great. It has a lot of atmosphere. It's super clean. So that was my guy. My very first tattooist that I went to back on South Street, I didn't know any better. The shop was okay. I mean, he wore rubber gloves, but I didn't have the same type of connection with that guy that I did with Nick as far as creating the art. But it is important. And in the book, I mentioned 2 tattooists who really go through an amazing process where you can also have a shamanic journey while you're getting your tattoo. One is Damon Rowenchild. His work is amazing, where actually after he gives you the tattoo, he'll do a reconnective healing. So, anything in your body that needs to resonate with that tattoo, if it's bringing something out, he's working with you to connect that back in. And he had tattooed some woman who had a mastectomy, and she wrote in her story, which was a beautiful story, and she wanted to add some beauty back to her body after having the operation. But she said she always had this one area that was sore, and It just always hurt. But she figured she'd just get a tattoo, would make her feel better. Well, after she got the tattoo, now this is in her own words, she sent this to me. She went home and she said she actually visualized black smoke coming out of the area where Damon had tattooed her, and all of a sudden the pain was gone, which she said was hard for her to believe because she works in the scientific field. So how can that be? So, she went to beautify her body, she went to heal her body, and actually she got a healing. To me, that is like super paranormal, super cool. Yeah, and I mean, symbols, but Damon is magical with this. I found him just on the internet, just searching for tattooists who do transformative type of tattoos, and found him on the internet searching in the middle of the night. And after I talked to him, just to talk to Damon, I mean, you could do a whole show on him. His experiences with tattoos, he really gives you the whole everything that it's supposed to be. Then there's another girl, Victoria Wickler, who lives in Bucks County, PA. When people come to her for a tattoo, she'll sit down and she'll give them a tarot reading. She'll take them on almost like a shamanic journey inward. Then together, her and the client sit down, and after they talk about the reading and the shamanic journey, together they design a symbol that is intuitively placed on where the body wants it to be. And her tattoos are hand-poked, which is different than using a tattoo machine.
Sure.
They have a different look to them. So it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, then again, you can just go into a shop and say, give me a tattoo. But a lot has to do with the tattooist. You're taking on their energy because they're drawing on your body, and they're concentrating while they're doing this. And you want to make sure they're level, they're cool, they're, beyond being a good artist, you want them to just be the type of energy that you can resonate with while you're going through this. It is a process, and to me, I see tattooing as a spiritual process because we're working with our spiritual self. Our consciousness is taking this all in. And I wonder, as Dr. Ian Stevenson says, these wounds or, injuries that we had in past lives, they come back again when we're, reincarnated, show up as birthmarks. I'm wondering if I come back, what my tattoo might come back as, or is it going to, promote a healing? So when I come back, maybe I don't need a tattoo. We never know what's, if we play it forward, what it's going to be. But hey, I like the idea, and I believe in all potential and possibilities of working with the symbols of tattoos.
Right. And so, let's say you see someone's art that you like, and what do you do? I mean, how do you field people? I mean, you can't just walk into somewhere and be like, "Hey, man, are you metaphysical? Are you spiritual?
Yeah, are you a
shaman? Are you gonna be cool when I do this?" It's how do you find the right person in that way? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I guess the best thing to do is you can usually tell by the art what they're into. Some of them are just into drawing beautiful pictures, but then again, they must have a very deep connection into their own consciousness to create such beautiful work. And maybe they don't go out and say, "Hey, I'm a shaman," or I'm into metaphysics, but on some level they get it. They know that if their art is resonating with you, it means you're recognizing that on some level as something that you need, or something that reminds you maybe even of a prior incarnation. The type of art that they do reminds you maybe of a past life, and as we know, past lives aren't always behind us. Sometimes people have past life experiences that are in the future because time is not linear. It goes in a loop, so it's a wave. So, whatever art you're resonating to, your body on some level and your consciousness is recognizing that as something you find very familiar, and you need it, and you want it.
So basically saying the other option would be to walk in, "Excuse me, miss, have we reincarnated together?"
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess you're right. It's really just you have to use your intuition when you see the art. And every tattoo artist does an initial consultation, and so anyone who's going to get a tattoo, especially for the first time, should go into a shop and just meet the person, right? Just ask to meet them after you've decided that you like their art, and just have a conversation about the work that you want. Because that doesn't cost any money, right? You're just sitting there talking to them, having a conversation. So if at the end of that conversation, I guess if you're feeling unsure, then maybe that's not the best person to go to.
Exactly. I think with anyone, you can tell after the first 3 minutes whether you're resonating with that person or not. If the tattooist seems like really enthusiastic about wanting to do something, for you that you're going to love and not want to get covered up a year from now, if you walk into the shop, if they act, arrogant or really not interested in what you have to say, maybe that's not the right shop for you. So you really, if you're going to go to anybody, even to get your haircut, you may see somebody's haircut that you like, but then you have to talk to the person to make sure that you kind of click in with them. It's a real energy experience, and tattoos especially, because this person's going to, create this art that you're going to wear and embody.
Right. And another factor besides finding the right person and the right atmosphere is deciding on color and the position of where the tattoo will go on the body. So we've kind of talked a little bit about images and how that could affect the body, but the chi or what have you. But as far as choosing colors and body placement, if someone's getting a tattoo for the first time, do you suggest any particular place that they should get that tattoo, or is it really dependent upon the intention of their tattoo?
I think a lot of it has to do with the intention of your tattoo. Mm-hmm. And I know from working with just Reiki, and also astrology ties in a lot with the physical body. Like if you want to know if somebody's having a health issue, we're going to look at the ascendant, we're going to look at their 6th house of health, and, everything relates to something else. Everything's connected. Everything is connected. Nothing is separate. Same thing with your body. Certain parts of your body, as a massage therapist will tell you, muscle holds memory. And a lot of people carry their, anxiety or, their pressures on their back. Sometimes a massage therapist will tell a person who's having maybe a leg issue, they'll sit down with them and they'll say, are you having problems moving forward with something in your life? It's not always just a medical condition. As the Greeks knew, it was you had to treat the whole body, the body, mind, and the spirit. Sometimes something mentally will show up physically if we don't catch it in the mental level. So as far as a tattoo on a part of the body, it's, do you want to show your strengths? So, okay, pick the arm. If you're going to put it on your left arm, it's something that's the body side that's telling you what is intuitively in you. If you decide that it feels better on your right arm, that could be a strength that you feel you need to logically add to your body. And I break that down in chapter 2. I go through the body parts, the different areas of the body where you put the tattoo, what energy and emotion it holds. So people can use that as a guide. Now, of course, some tattoos that you want possibly don't work well on a small area. Say you want a big mandala. Okay, you need a lot of skin for that, So, of course, the back would be the best place for that, or the thigh, because, you have to work along with the contours of the body. But make sure it feels right. If you don't just get it because you think it's cool, your friend got it, or if you really like it, you have a way of trying to kind of work it into a design where it feels right on your body. And your body will tell you, because as soon as they put that, tattoo on you, they make the tattoo and then they put the stencil on you. You get to wear that for a bit and see how it feels and see if it feels right there. They just don't start inking away, and then you get to see, I like it there. And you stare in the mirror and you go, it looks good. And I think I'm going to like it. Or you could say, no, move it up a little, or no, not there. It's too big, too small. So, really be conscious. Like I said, be very present. You want to be present for this, because this is a big deal. You are crossing a threshold. You are opening a door. You're saying something about yourself, or something about you wants to come out. And when you're present for it, it's amazing. It's like, who wants to throw a party and then not show up at their own party? So you might as well be there.
Right. In the book you mentioned, too, that if you go to a parlor, a lot of tattoos will not tattoo you if you are intoxicated walking in the door. But let's just say you had worked with this person in advance and designed a tattoo, and you come in that day as appointed, and they start doing the work, is it okay to just like slug a little bit of vodka or whatever as it's happening at that point? I mean, would that have any interference, do you think, in the process?
I think if you're doing it because you're afraid or because you don't want to feel the pain, it depends on your tattooist. If he says, okay, go ahead.
Well, I guess more of in like a social, just fun, we're doing this
I would wait
thing.
till after the tattoo because from what I've been told by tattooists, it's not a good idea to really drink before you get a tattoo because you may have a tendency to bleed or bruise more.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
So that's one reason maybe you want to wait it out a little bit. Then afterwards you can celebrate your tattoo and have a shot of vodka or whatever else you want to do to party.
Okay, so I haven't told you where. Did I tell you where I was going to put my tattoo?
No.
Okay. So I didn't tell you where. So I'm going to tell you kind of what I want done, and then tell me if you're okay with that, if you're comfortable with that. Tell me where you think would be an appropriate place for that tattoo. So basically, I wanted to get Lord of the Rings style script with as many exact elfin translation to words like honesty, authenticity, sincerity, truthfulness, and so on, and have that wrapped around like a ring or either a straight line, but in that graphic of that you would imagine on the ring, in Lord of the Rings,
right?
So something like that, you can get the theme of those words that I just put there. Where do you think that would go on the body?
Well, just talking to you, I'm feeling like left side intuitively because I feel like you've had like some type of a past incarnation in some type of era where it was very, common to be like mystical, into the magical, into that realm. So I'm feeling the left side, and I'm also feeling maybe like around two places keep coming out to me. I'm thinking around the top of the arm because like that's bringing out like your past life strength. You've done this before. Or also maybe somewhere around the wrist because the wrist bridges how you like embrace life. But so I'm feeling something on the left side. Where were you thinking?
I was thinking a band on the left side around just above the bicep, kind of right in that area. Yeah, and then that's great. I'm so happy you said left side. And I was reading the book. And there, I don't have the exact phrasing in front of me right now, but the heart is there on the left side. So I thought that those feelings, those emotions, resonated with the heart part of the self. So I thought that makes sense. I didn't plan it. I think I just wanted it on my left side just because I thought that's where it should be. But then I think, maybe, that was an intuitive decision. I don't know.
I think that was intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like I said earlier, I think a lot of people probably do intuitively sort of know where to place the tattoo if the tattoo itself is meaningful, and especially people who are more in tune with the metaphysical or spiritual side of their life. I think that they know themselves, they know their bodies a little bit better too.
Well, know what's interesting? I even mentioned in the book, a tattooist had told me this when I was interviewing him, that he kept thinking about the water experiment that Dr. Emoto did, where he typed different words, both positive and negative in meaning, on water, and then watched how the molecules changed. So basically, you're putting this script on you. So our bodies are mostly water. So can you imagine? So you're kind of bringing this positive energy, something you relate to, even more prominently out into your life. And maybe it's the archetype of the magician, what's inside of you. And when you get your tattoo, after you sit with it, you start to see, like, what did I wake up inside of me that, I've been carrying along with me? What kind of helps you too? I like to feel that I'm wearing my magic.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I see this tattoo, and that's why I waited a long time to get my first tattoo, and I'm glad I did, because my 20s in particular are quite tumultuous time. So I don't think I would have made the best decision for me, to
me either.
tattoo
Yeah.
then. And even through the first half of my 30s, I was still sort of beginning to learn who I am and settle into myself. And now in my late 30s, I finally feel like I'm really getting to know myself.
You're ready. Yeah,
and so I feel like it's time. And everybody goes through that process in their own time. But that's where I've ended up. And I guess you had, I don't know if that's similar experience that you had, but you said that you had waited until, you were 40 or past 40 before you got your first tattoo.
Exactly. It's when I was younger, I probably, who knows what I would have got, but I didn't feel drawn to getting a tattoo. I had, I went to, the Art Institute after I got out of an all-girls Catholic private school, where no one really had tattoos. Then I go to art school where everybody had tattoos. So I was exposed to both ends, but I never really felt compelled to get a tattoo until I was older. I just did it, and I didn't put it someplace that was really visible. The back of my neck, my hair covered it. I just wanted it. It was something for me. It marked something for me, and I felt ready. And it was, I wish I would have really embraced that initial experience a little bit, with more knowledge than I have now. But that's okay. I mean, when I look back, I can still see that it still did what it was supposed to do. It did open a door for me. Very, very symbolic.
Yeah, well, it's not like you tattooed "I love Ronnie" forever.
No, a lot of tattooists don't want to put your lover's name on. Oh my God, almost everyone I talked to said they don't like to do that. They have their own little set of superstitions that as soon as you tattoo a lover's name on, you're going to break up. And they'll see you next year for a cover-up. So they don't suggest that, although it's popular. I mean, a lot of people do it. They like to do it.
Isn't that interesting, though, that that's something that's supposed to be this most sacred shared experience between two people, it is something that a tattooist artist would not want to do, but is okay with tattooing your child's name, maybe your mom's name,
I asked that too, they said, well, a child you have this biological bond with, you're totally connected with your child. That's a blood relationship.
Adoptive child.
Yeah,
it's
or
still the same thing.
Child. It's an emotional relationship. Yeah. But lovers, I mean, it's very popular. People, all these tattooists that people come in a couple times a week and they want their boyfriend's name, their girlfriend's name. But they told me that's kind of like a running thing within the tattooist community that, yeah, they're going to break up. I don't know. I guess I should have surveyed people, but that's what they tell me. I'm not a tattooist. I'm just going by what I was told.
Well, it'd be interesting to find out the age group of people that get that tattoo. My guess it would be the younger, the more so. Because I think as people get older and go through relationships, they would be less likely to tattoo someone's name on their body.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's whatever like really is meaningful to you. But that's how come I kind of, like the alchemy symbols. I like to work with symbols a lot anyway. Being an astrologer and reading the tarot is all symbolic. It's all symbols, So I'm so used to working with symbols that to me, to put a tattoo on really, really has a lot of meaning because I'm looking at what it really symbolizes to me personally. Somebody else, I did have somebody come up and look at my one tattoo and say, what does that all mean? It's like I never explain it to them. It's this whole big thing because it's very cryptic looking because it is on my left arm. It is just a lot of alchemy symbols and geometry.
That makes it cool.
They're conversation starters.
Yeah,
for
right,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, what does that mean? Why'd you get that? And everybody who gets a tattoo, they always have their story, which is interesting.
Yeah.
When everybody remembers why they got the tattoo, who they were with. Some people remember what they were wearing, what the weather was like. There's always some type of a backstory. So it's interesting, to really, it's, you have that memory, you have a cool story behind it. Even if you were drunk, it'd be like the night I got smashed. I was with my friends, we went and got the tattoo. There's a story, Hardly anyone ever said, I don't remember the whole night. Like I remember my first tattoo, even though I wasn't aware of the sacred art that it is at that time and how, ancient cultures looked at this as a very sacred art. But I remember the weather. I remember what I was wearing. I remember where I went and the whole thing. There's a story.
To your knowledge, what is the oldest known tattoo to date? Do you have any idea?
Well, from what I've researched, the one that is the most popularly known was Otz the Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
They did a whole show on him on Discovery. He had these tattoos up and down. I believe it was different parts of his body, his leg, and he carried, it looked like some type of a bone or a thorn, and they were symbols. So what they surmise is, and these were preserved because he was in the Iceman. They dug him up, and the tattoos were preserved. That could they possibly be like acupuncture points where he had arthritis, and when he would take, this tool that he had and poke the symbol, it would relieve the pain. Also, some Egyptian mummies they dug up had tattoos on their lower abdomen, and from, I guess, the symbols they surmised they were fertility symbols. So maybe women who couldn't conceive, if they embodied the symbol, they would actually be more inclined to have a baby. But almost in the Polynesians, I mean, the Dayaks, the headhunters, every time they would get a head, they'd get another tattoo to mark, hunting another head. So they all have a meaning. They all have some type of a spiritual connection for what it means. And you're connected to nature with them through a lot of the symbols, especially the Polynesian ones show a lot of like turtles and waves and, and also they have, the armbands that are very symbolic of the strength. They used to also show genealogy. They have many different meanings, but at their very root, they're very, very spiritual because they all knew that it connected you to something that is beyond the realm of Earth, which is so cool. They all had a mystical, magical power associated with them. And I think now people go to Southeast Asia and they get that Sanyak tattoo where a Buddhist monk administers the tattoo, and he'll only give it to certain people who are worthy. Then after he gives you the tattoo, he blows a spell into the tattoo, and it's a very magical tattoo. And from what I researched, people come from all over and stand in line to get these tattoos. So there is a certain magic that's still associated with body art.
Yeah, in the book you referred to that as a folk Buddhist religion, right?
Yeah, and there's a few other ones too. I was just talking to my tattooist today, and something came up and we said about Thailand, and I said there's a lot of tattooists down there that still follow this ancient art. And I asked Nick, I said, do you think you'd get a tattoo down there? He said, oh, I'd love to. He goes, the thing that I'm not too sure about is don't know about the hygiene down there. Are they going to, be clean and take the precautions we take here? That's another thing to take into consideration when you do get the tattoo. It's a whole spiritual consciousness type of an experience. But then, of course, we have to take the physical body into, we have to bring that into the realm. You want to make sure the shop is clean. You want to make sure that the tattooist looks intact, that he is wearing gloves, that, that you're not going to get hepatitis, which is a possibility. If you just go any place and you have someone who they say is not experienced, they call that a scratcher. That's the term they use. So if you get a scratcher, so you have to look at everything from the physical to the spiritual to the emotional.
And it shouldn't be a shame to ask them, right? What are your, what are your standards? Or is everything clean? I mean, I think you're asking about sanitation is a fair question, right?
Oh, yeah. You have to be responsible if you're going to do this. It's just even people that do a lot of Wicca, when they want to sit and they want to do a ritual, you have to be responsible when you're doing that ritual. Is your area clean? Be very, very high magic that could be used for more destructive purposes. You have to keep in mind that not only does it, put something out, it will also attract it back to you too. So you have to see the whole picture, not just one side of the coin.
Right. Well, I guess I wonder, could you go as extreme as if you wanted to bring, call down a demon or something of the sort, and bring that into your life permanently? Is a tattoo a way of going about that, do you think?
Yes. And there are some cultures that don't like tattoos for that reason. They think that tattoos can attract demons because when you're getting the tattoo, you're piercing your aura. You're opening a portal. Remember, we said it's a blood ritual. And those who are familiar with the paranormal world know that spirits are very attracted to blood because it's a high energy type of liquid. So, you're attracting all kinds of things. So that's how come you want to make sure the atmosphere of the shop, the tattooist, everything is very, very level and what you're feeling comfortable with, because you can pull in a negative vibration. What if your tattooist is a real dark person, and you're in a dark mood yourself and you want to get a high magic symbol? Mm-hmm. You can definitely call in a darker entity or a darker energy that you're carrying around with you. And some people might think that would be cool, but when you start to feel the repercussions of it, it's not cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because the symbol itself could have an impact. Sort of what you're saying, I think, but the intention behind it is probably the most important thing. And I'm thinking people who get crucifixes, let's say, or a crucifix with Jesus on the cross, and you see these, and there's blood dripping, right? And I think people see the cross and they see the sacrifice of Jesus as a high spiritual symbol for goodness and for grace, but the actual image itself is macabre.
It is.
So
it is.
Isn't that an odd juxtaposition there?
It is. Like it goes back to with what is your intention for getting this symbol? Mm-hmm. If you do you really want it? Are you resonating with it, or are you trying to project something maybe where you feel that you yourself has had a life of sacrifice? Or are you just attracting more of that to you, where you get so far, then you wind up sacrificing it and giving it away to help other people? It's all about intention, but symbols are very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. And I do have a section on symbols where I do tell people, research, know what you're getting. There for a while, it was really popular for everyone to get, the Asian characters. They thought they looked cool, but they had no idea what the words meant. So you just like the symbol, but do you know what it means?
Yeah. There was a lot of that in the 90s.
Research it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it was popular to get the suicide awareness symbol. That was one, the infinity symbol. The tattooist told me we go through these different spins where everybody starts to, it's almost that butterfly effect. Yeah, one person gets it, and then next thing you know, globally, everybody's wearing the same symbol as, I guess, a form of camaraderie or awareness, too. People do that. And in the book, I do have a section where I write about there are a group of women who wanted to get the cancer ribbon to commemorate a friend and be supportive of a friend who was going through cancer, which is a very nice gesture. They're doing it. One woman bailed. She didn't want to do it because she felt that by embodying that symbol, she would be so consciously aware of cancer. Mm-hmm. She was afraid of sort of inciting that and bringing that into her own life, which you have to respect her because
totally, yeah.
That's how she feels. And she's not dissing her friend. She could be supportive in other ways, but she did not want to embody the symbol. And I thought, interesting.
Yeah, I think I respect the decision completely, because if for any reason you have any, negative association with a symbol, and even though the symbol itself is to search for the cure, if you every time you see that symbol you get a little pang of fear of cancer, then you're setting yourself up. Yeah, you
co-create it for yourself because, as we know, like Edgar Cayce, the great American psychic, said, the mind is the builder. So what we think, we begin to create. That's how come people, are they're into The Secret. You positively envision what you want because what you think you start to create. So if you're wearing a symbol and you think, I'm supposed to be supportive like everybody else, but in the back of your mind, it's like, no, I'm afraid I'm going to get cancer. God forbid, maybe if she would ever get it down the road for whatever reason, she's going to think that symbol did it. So don't wear it if you're uncomfortable with it. don't get a symbol because your friend says we're being supportive of somebody who, came through like, a suicide attempt or something. It has to feel right for you because you're going to embody it, you're going to think about it, you're going to wear it, and it's there.
And these all may be factors in the in the literature of the Bible, and the rabbis or whomever wrote this down in Leviticus. But why do you think tattoos were? I mean, and it's pretty plain language. I think that tattoos and skin marking is banned, is not allowed, is forbidden.
Right.
What are the factors you think? Yeah, good.
In chapter 1, I wrote about Leviticus, and the reason I think is because they knew the power of symbols, because they worked with symbols. They had, think about it, every religion has some type of a ritual connected with it, with symbols, okay? So they knew the power of symbols, and they probably also knew that at that time, if someone started to mark their body with these symbols, what type of power are they kind of calling forth? Are they going to use it for a good purpose or a negative purpose? So they figured, let's just wipe it out and say you can't do that because we don't know if you're going to be responsible with the symbol that you're going to wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for those who are listening and are, believers of the Bible, it's not, my understanding of Leviticus is these are more like rabbinic laws and not actually laws of God. I think that's my understanding of those who interpret the Torah. So I don't, it's like eating shrimp. It's not going to get you into hell. So I think if you get a tattoo, you're okay. You're safe.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Well, somebody told me if they get a tattoo, they couldn't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. So I guess that's a rule, correct?
Well, that's a human rule. I mean, humans are the ones that are saying you can't be buried there. It's
right.
Yeah. So that I don't know how true that is as far as the various sects of Judaism. I would think the more progressive, sects are just fine with it.
I think today what we're embracing is people are more spiritual instead of religious. Mm-hmm. I think it's all about being authentic and not being afraid to be yourself, which is a really cool thing. It's very, very liberating to be yourself and not be judged. And I think we're getting away from that judgment. Like, you have tattoos, so you must be a drug addict, or you're wild, or you're crazy. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem to be the mindset anymore. Everybody seems to, tattoos, I think, have really come around now to be very socially accepted in the workplace. And if you have a tattoo, you're not, looked at as being part of some subculture. You're looked at more as you're authentic. You're secure enough with yourself to do this. That's one, but make sure you like it because you're wearing it. It has to be meaningful to you, and really think about it. If you really want this bit of magic on your skin, this something, your own personal logo or memory, whatever you want to call it, make sure it resonates with you because they do have a vibration. The lines, the way they form, everything is vibration. And your vibration, your own personal vibration, is going to entrain with the symbol that you put on yourself too. So it's becoming a whole part of your whole essence, from your physical to your consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Years ago, if you're in the more downtown area of Manhattan, you can go into a restaurant and only the really kind of like cool, hipster, not one pre-hipster area, but, alternative lifestyle people could work in restaurants. That's kind of what they were considered then, like edgy. And now you can go to like any restaurant in the city and your server can have a tattoo or a piercing even. It depends on the restaurant, or the hair is dyed a different color, and it's like all these labels we threw on people, like being freaks or this and that. It was just all BS. It was like, it was just these rules and ideas that we made up and we, projected onto other people, and now their kids can get jobs in the a Fortune 500 company, or and have a tattoo around their neck. And I mean, CEOs have spiked hair and wear sandals. It's the world.
You gotta love it. It's about
it's very cool.
Being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It is. We're getting out of the box. We're starting to think outside of the box, which is cool because there really is no separateness. We create that in our head, that separateness. We're all connected, you know?
Well, I think that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that would save us as a race is that every single culture, maybe not every single human being, but if every single culture and subculture had that same philosophy of we are all one, you know, in this together, the world would be a very different place.
Definitely. And even when I was talking to, you know, different tattooists and people that had tattoos, I said, what about these really dark image tattoos? I mean, you see some that actually they look kind of scary. And what I was told from more than one tattooist, some people like to wear their shadow, which I thought was very cool because we all have our persona we project, and then we have our shadow side. A shadow isn't necessarily a bad thing. The shadow is the side we don't project. You know, when you get into the deeper psychology of Carl Jung and everything, somebody who is very pretty much meek and mild may have a dark skull tattoo because they're wearing their shadow, because it's not something that they, you know, on a daily basis project, but yet it's something that needs to be recognized, honored as part of them, so they'll wear it. So that's a way of expressing it and not holding it in and feeling bottled up, like you cannot be your whole, complete self. So some people wear their shadow, which that's interesting too.
Well, yeah, I think also, and have you seen the recent Star Wars film, The Last Jedi?
No, I want to see it.
Okay, well, I mean,
is it good?
I thoroughly liked it. I did have some issues with things. Overall, I said that I loved it, but the more I thought about it, I thought I need to go back and see it a second time because we're actually doing a roundtable discussion for the January 22nd show on that movie because friends in my circle are very split. There's myself, I really enjoyed it. The other guest, she enjoyed it, and then I have one guest who hated it, was so angry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a total Star Wars file. But anyway, the overarching theme through all of the Star Wars, I think is fair to say, is the sort of the balance between light and dark. And, you know, I find that, because you alluded to that earlier, that sort of embracing the mystery. And I think in mystery, there is no mystery without darkness. And I love that place. I love that place of sort of somewhere in between, because I feel like if you can feel comfortable there, then you're on your way to being a more balanced person. And I think that, you know, people who are much more into macabre and, you know, darker aspects of entertainment or horror and you know, bloodlusting and get darker tattoos, like you said, are sort of wearing their shadow. But, you know, a lot of these people are they're good, kind people. You know, the people maybe who have dealt with depression or just have a natural inclination towards these things, and sort of somehow embracing all that darkness in a way is kind of therapeutic. And I would say that anyone who's interested in the paranormal definitely dips their toes on that side of life.
Well, tattoos, in a sense, they have that classic theme of death and resurrection, because what it is, you're initiating a change. And whenever you change anything, something else comes about. So it's that cycle of death and resurrection. And there is a very cool supernatural side to tattoos. You know, they are, you could say, an unequivocal vehicle for transformation and awareness. For example, when we do Reiki on someone, when we're, you know, administering Reiki, it's basically considered like holding space for that person. You know, we're holding space. So what a tattoo is doing for you, in essence, it's holding space on your body. It's holding the space for that energy, for that message. Is it an archetype that needs to be expressed? Somebody who is, like I said, very quiet and very shy may get a tattoo that seems like, wow, out of character for them, but that's a part of them that needs to be expressed and honored. And really, everybody should know their dark side and their light side. We all have to own it, right? We are a combination of both sides. And when you honor it, it doesn't mean you have to go out and be crazy, but there's different ways of expressing it. And art in itself, wow, it's magical. You know, it really is. I mean, you can look at some paintings and actually like visualize yourself in them. And when you put art on your body, you're bringing something to life that's inside of you. When you start to look at it like that, it really is very, very cool.
Yeah, and very, very sacred for sure.
I love the secret part.
Yeah, I'm also have this other little bit of a fear that if I get that first tattoo, I'm going to start wanting more, because every person that I know who's gotten one is, if they haven't gotten a second one, they've at least been very tempted to get a second tattoo.
Well, they are addictive because, okay, when you're getting the tattoo, endorphins are released. So you are going to feel high. You're going to like that. And as I mentioned in the book, pain is the pathway to awareness. That's how come when you get acupuncture, and the tattoo needle does not go in as deep as an acupuncture needle, just so everybody knows that. You know, that little twinge of pain, it's opening up a portal, like where something's blocked. That pain is like opening it up. It's letting energy in, letting energy out. Mm-hmm. And this is what the tattoo is doing for you. So, I mean, it's really does have a very deep supernatural side to it. And in chapter 4, I also wrote about Brian Rawls, who is an amazing psychic. He's very gifted. He's a light worker. He has certain tattoos when he works a lot with magic, that he uses his tattoos as portals when he wants to call in the goddess energy or the god energy. He uses his tattoos, these symbols that he wears, to open portals for himself. So, you know, he had his intention, he had his purpose, a placement on the body, and he chooses to use them for the magical. And some people do it because they don't know how to express themselves completely, so it's a form of self-expression. So there's many different meanings. It's, once again, it goes back to your original intention, but do know that there is a very magical side to tattoos. I cover that in chapter 4. It's like, okay, we looked at your body, the colors, the vibration, you know, symbols, but let's look at the magic side of tattoos, because they do hold within themselves a lot of magic.
Can that magic be directly applied and be useful towards some malady that you have? You brought up addiction, for instance. Can you use a tattoo and the ritual of doing that to heal or be therapeutic towards some physical or emotional malady that you may have?
I think so. I think you can. I think once you get that tattoo and you allow that symbol to really start to entrain with your own body vibration, and you have an awareness of it and you realize what it is, yeah, I think we're magical beings anyway. I don't think we use anywhere near the full potential that we have, only because we've been taught that we don't have it or that it's silly. Mm-hmm. But if you embrace your own magic, you'd be amazed at what you can achieve. It's like you have to be open to it. It's not silly nonsense or superstition. It's a part of us that I think is just now starting to be more recognized by people, that, hey, you know, once again, it all started with The Secret. People are basically learning to work with your inner magic. You know, be your own creator, stop looking outside of you, look more inside of you, and be responsible for your own decisions and potential possibilities. And I think you can work a lot with the symbols, and I just think when you wear them, it's even more empowering because now they're a part of you. Someone actually told me when I got my arm tattoo, now I seem nicer. I thought I was always nice, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that's a compliment. I don't know.
That's a compliment. I don't know. Is it a backhanded compliment, maybe?
Gave him a chance to kind of say something they didn't get to say before, but
yeah. Yeah. Now I'm a better person.
I mean, sure. Anything that you do, reading a book, doing meditation, just, mantra intentions, you can be a better person. Doesn't make you a bad person before. Maybe you were, but doesn't necessarily mean that you were. And so every little step that we take in the right direction, I think is worth the while.
Well, when I got the tattoo, the first tattoo was years ago, and then I just got my second tattoo on October 23rd. And after I got that tattoo, I was standing there with my tattooist and we were talking about the book, and I said how you really need to resonate with your artist. So he said, let's try something. So we stood there and like reading each other's energy. I was thinking in my head, I'm feeling something on my wrist. Nothing real big, but something on my wrist. All of a sudden he said, I'm feeling something on your wrist. I'm like, let's go for it. And he drew a 3-leaf fern. It's really pretty. And he goes, how's that feel? I go, I like that. Do we have time to do it? He goes, let's do it. So he put the fern on. Now, after I did all the chapter on symbols, I realized I didn't have one on fern. So I went home and I started to look up the meaning of fern. Fern means sincerity to others, discretion, and working your magic. I'm thought, like, how cool is that? I mean, he actually came up with a symbol that relates to me on a very personal level. And I liked it. It felt good. So when you work with your tattooist, you can even create your own magic.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned ferns being, sort of a magical thing. I guess because it's so archaic. I've always thought ferns had this drawing effect, and of all the plants in the forests and woods, where I grew up, the fern was always my favorite. There was just something about it that kind of like pulled me in, and it was, sort of enchanting.
Very ancient, mystical feel to them.
Yeah,
you
right?
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I'm open to anything. I mean, like, if you tell me I'm going to wear this fern and I'm going to have a past life experience, like, I'm right there. And it did. I mean, it did open up something. It's amazing because I have an awareness. So once you're aware of what something can do, then you can really get into it. If you hand somebody an iPhone and they don't have any idea what all the different apps are, they're not going to use them. But then once they learn to use them, it's like, oh, wow, I can do this and do that. That's the same thing with a tattoo. When you're aware of all the different qualities that are held within your ink, aside from just being a beautiful picture on your skin, the deeper meaning of tattoos, you really, really, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't go get my whole body tattooed. But, of course, you have to know when to stop. Like, when enough is enough, I think I'm done. I don't know. I guess you never say never.
Talk to you in a year. See how the conversation
I have another
goes.
tattoo.
Well, it's some people, I think, know early on if they want to tattoo their entire body. I think some people sort of envision that. And so when you see people with an entire body is full of tattoo, I think that it wasn't like halfway through their body they were like, oh, I'm going to do my whole body. I think that somewhere along the line they knew that this is something they wanted to commit to. And so somebody who goes through that process of covering their entire body, knowing that they're eventually going to run out of space, that has to be a sort of spiritual journey for them as well, right?
I think so, and you get a lot of people saying like, oh, you like it now, but 10 years from now you're going to hate it. It's like, well, let's face it, we're all going to get older. There's going to be a lot of things that aren't tattooed that I'm going to hate too, you know? So let the tattoo grow old with me. I think it depends. Like, some people feel like they need more symbols. Maybe they're carrying around more archetypes inside. I mean, we have more than one persona inside us. Everybody embodies the warrior at some point, and they know when to let it out. And some people maybe don't know how to let it out effectively, so maybe they get an armband, and that's their way of displaying their inner warrior. It's very empowering to get a tattoo. You do feel changed, and it's something you're doing for yourself. And when you get a tattoo, you don't get it with the mindset that what's everybody going to say? Are they going to hate it, or they're going to judge me? It's about you, and it's about your symbol. And once again, it's about your inner magic, which makes it super cool.
Right. I mean, have you met or talked to anybody who's gotten a tattoo based off of a discussion with someone else? Meaning, perhaps the idea wasn't really their own.
You mean to get a tattoo or a certain symbol?
Yeah, well, I just wonder, are there people out there who get a tattoo because someone they love or someone they're in a relationship with or someone they're friends with thinks it would be cool, so they get that particular tattoo to impress them or to sort of fit in or appease them?
Yeah, there were some people that said well, I know that they're, people who have gotten gang tattoos to feel part of the gang. Then afterwards, when they don't want to be in the gang anymore, they need to have that tattoo removed because they felt that they were more or less doing it because they were goaded into doing it. Mm-hmm. They didn't have the right mindset. And then there are other people. My daughter, for instance, she was never into tattoos, never really wanted a tattoo. She actually was the editor, like, after I wrote my book, because she is an editor. I said, look this over and make sure the grammar's correct. And after she read the first 2 chapters, she came home, she said, I think I'm going to get a tattoo. And she's really conservative. And I was surprised. She wanted a tattoo, and she went and she got a tattoo. But I guess she was ready because she's...
Question, Lisa, you had discussed this a little bit in the book, I think. The process of preparing, what is that? What do you think it should be? And after you get the tattoo, what things or rituals do you think people should do?
Well, I think to prepare for your tattoo, it goes back to your intention. Why do you want this symbol? What does it mean to you? Do you really feel a connection to it? So that's important to be really clear on why you're getting the tattoo. Some people meditate on it and they draw and they come up with their own unique designs, or they may see something they like. It's always a good idea to try to make it your own. Even if you go on Instagram and you see a great tattoo, maybe you want to just change a little something, make it your own, even if it's a color or just adding another shape to it. And then aftercare, on the physical side, it's important. You want to keep that area clean, and they say put Aquapure on it for a while, just take care of it physically. But also, if you want to really connect and feel your magic, I have my own little ritual. I'd like to, it sounds silly, I'd like to anoint my tattoo with a mixture of patchouli and frankincense oil. I just think it enhances the vibration of my tattoo. So everybody has their own little ritual, and I recognize it and I honor it as being there, as if, people who put on a certain piece of jewelry every day, they know they're putting it on and taking it off, and they know where they put it when they take it off. The same thing with my tattoo. I know it's there, and I try to be very, very aware of it and conscious of why I got it and what it means to me, which even makes your connection to it even deeper.
Are there any particular stones or crystals or gems that you are good to keep with you or maybe wear after you get a tattoo?
Actually, yes. When I get my tattoo, I like to wear my hematite ring. Hematite not only is for balance and it helps ward off anything negative, hematite is a stone also known that actually calms down any type of bleeding. So I never had a problem bleeding after a tattoo. There's a little bit of blood that comes out, but nothing profuse. But hematite sort of controls the bleeding. And anybody who would Google hematite, what it's used for, you'll see that it's a good stone to carry if you wanted to control any type of bleeding. So I use hematite. If there's a crystal that you resonate with, that's a good crystal to carry. Some people don't even carry crystals. But whatever feels good for you, whatever is resonating with you, and whatever you're drawn to is usually the right thing for you.
Okay. And, I was thinking, as far as gems go, is it weird to, maybe rub a gem on there? Is it something you would do or just kind of carry with you?
You could rub a gem on it. That's cool. I actually, before I got my tattoo, before I left to go get the tattoo, I saged off the body area with some sage to just clear it, make sure I wasn't carrying any negative energy around.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I think you mentioned in the book to do sage before.
It's a good idea
as well. Yeah.
It's clearing.
And the oils that you were speaking of, how long would you continue to do that? I mean, could you go until the healing is done? Can you rub oils on there, or do you have to wait till it's finished healing?
I waited till it was healed because I wanted to make sure it healed okay. Mm-hmm. And now I have my own little ritual every day where I have my oils, and I like to dot it with the frankincense and the patchouli blend that I have, and Sometimes before I go to bed, I have astral travel oil. I like to dot it with that too. And I don't know if it's because I'm open to it or not, but I've had some pretty cool trips, astral traveling. I think it opened up a portal for me. I really do. I mean, I don't think, I know, because my intention was to just explore my inner self, the wormholes of my consciousness, what I was before, where I'm headed now, and it's doing what I wanted it to do, because I really sat with this for a while. After I wrote the book, I didn't run out and get a tattoo. I mean, I finished the book in the spring, and all summer long I thought about, do I want to get another tattoo? Do I need a tattoo if I'm going to be talking about tattoos? And I figured, I talked to enough people that had tattoos that I don't necessarily have to get another one, but I really wanted one. After I wrote the book, I couldn't wait to get another tattoo.
Right, but that would really present a problem if you have full body of tattoos. Yeah, I think I like to... I mean, I guess you could just rub your body down with... Yeah, but I mean, you could rub your body down, I guess, with oil, right? And people do that after showers anyway. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whatever is comfortable to you, whatever is part of your own personal ritual. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their ritual when they get up, whether it's like brushing your teeth, combing your hair. We have rituals, so now my tattoo has become part of my ritual. Well, is there anything that's metaphysically oriented that you would suggest not doing or staying away from while the tattoo is healing? Or since you're opening a portal, and I'm really big on that, on portals, sometimes have you go into a room where people are arguing, oh boy, you don't feel good about yourself. You can feel it, yeah. That energy starts to entangle with your energy, and maybe it puts you in a bad mood. So when I got the tattoo, I consciously tried to keep everything like really on the up and up for me, because that portal was open, and it's letting energy in and also releasing energy. So I was very much aware of that. And I think that's why I chose the patchouli and the frankincense to work with. Just for me personally, I feel very protected by them. Some people are more drawn to sandalwood or whatever is your preference for oil. That work for you. How about the woman who got the memorial tattoo where she actually, I wrote about her, I believe it was in chapter 6, had the ashes of her deceased husband put into the tattooing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so in a sense, like she's carrying him around. That's the way I use oils. She has his ashes. And that's pretty much becoming popular now. I heard of a few people that do that. Well, in the book you talk about the different Jungian archetypes. There's so much detail in this book. Obviously, we can't cover it all. But are these things that you think are sort of essential guidelines and things for people to know before getting a tattoo? And have you looked at the Jungian archetypes yourself, particularly before you got this most recent tattoo? I did, because I sort of know what I project the most. And then is there something that I think I need to help bring out to create more of a balance in my life? So I feel that through my tattoos, I really wanted to maybe project a little bit more of the magician type of tattoo. Not magician in the sense pull a rabbit out of my hat or, but for my own personal self to be, I guess you can say, more mindful of my choices and what I create in my own life. And I do feel that has helped me a lot through the symbols that I picked. Have you seen the X-Files episode where that involved Gillian Anderson's character, Scully? The tattoo? No? I didn't see that. Now I got to go watch that. I'm trying to remember the name. Oh gosh! But there was a guy in the episode that has a tattoo of a woman, and this woman, the tattoo starts speaking to him, and I guess this leads him to, attacking Scully, or her life is in danger because of it. But it in a strange sense, it did sort of convey, I think, through the episode that a tattoo really can sort of have a psychological influence on your day-to-day, life. And have you come across anybody who has heard tattoos speak to them? The one girl, Alex March, in chapter 4, Mm-hmm.
Her tattoos, she's the empath, very, very brilliant empath. Her tattoos, definitely she gets messages through them. But when she was actually tattooing people, when she was an active tattooist, she started to pick up spirit, would come to her. And I guess it's because she's working with the blood ritual. She's opening portals in people's body, and she was really open, and she's gifted, a very gifted person. So they became a vehicle for her to start to communicate with the other side, the deeper realms of consciousness. So I guess in a sense you could say, yeah, I heard of it, and she was so fascinating, I just had to write about her.
Yeah, so she wasn't just getting like a sensation. Was she actually like getting clear messages? She was getting clear.
She was getting clear messages to the point where she did not want to tattoo anymore because she was really getting messages, and it freaked her out. But see, because she's open and she's gifted, the tattoos actually act as a vehicle for her to even further express and have an awareness of her gift.
Is it because she put her attention to the tattoo because she was, inking, or what was the cause? Because otherwise, I'm thinking she's such an empath, right? Could she be standing next to you and you discuss your tattoo with her, and then all of a sudden she kind of gets a vibe? Is that how it works, or?
I imagine the way that I never had her have an experience with me in my tattoo, but from what she explained, when she was actually piercing somebody's skin, it was really coming through really strong. I imagine, as with anyone who does that type of work, you're not always on. Sometimes you get hits and sometimes you don't. But when she was tattooing, the process of tattooing and piercing the skin and opening the portals really opened it up, where she was just getting these messages and things were coming through for her. It was fascinating. I mean, she's really a brilliant person to talk to.
Yeah, and I guess I just imagine when you are creating, you are putting your mind into a certain state of openness and awareness. And I guess that would allow for these voices, if you will, come through. So in her own work as an empath, I guess she has other ways of intuiting, right?
I guess so. It's just from a feel that she gets, but tattooing seems to be her vehicle, where other people may be tarot. It can just be using crystals. It may be a pendulum, astrology. But think back, little kids, they say you're very much aware of your prior incarnations when you're young, before you go to school. And there have been a lot of, like Dr. Brian Weiss and people who do a lot of, research into past lives. Children especially are aware of it. And what do children do the most? They like to sit and doodle and draw, and they put themselves in the picture, and, they're very open to what they're getting through art.
Yeah.
And as we get older, we start to become more left brain instead of right brain, and we start following rules and certain protocols, and we forget the magic that we're born with. So now when we're adults, we can go back to that magic, and we can actually have a tattoo. We don't have to sit and doodle. We can put it on our skin and wear our magic. That's when you really know what it is, when you know that at its very roots, it is a very ancient, mystical, magical modality used for healing and self-awareness. That's what it is. And how cool is that? It's open for everybody. I've met people that say, oh, I don't like tattoos. It's like, because you don't really know about them. If you really know about them, you might change your mind and be more open to how they can enhance your life. And even a small tattoo. The minimalist tattoos are very popular now, where you just get a tiny little design. And, people who are afraid to maybe get something a little big or splashier, get the minimalist tattoos. And the people I know that have gotten them said they felt really good about it. Maybe the next time they make it something a little bigger, or something that maybe is a little bit more visual, not so tucked away. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess in a way, like we were talking about before, the sort of secret side of things. When you get a minimalist tattoo, it's this sort of like special little thing for yourself. It's not.
Right.
It's not for other people. It's really just for you, and I can totally appreciate that. And on this whole spectrum of energy coming to and fro or through the tattoo. Her name was Marie, right?
Alex March?
March. Yeah, Alex March.
Right.
So on the one end of the spectrum, maybe she's the more extreme example of that, where she's getting clear messages sort of from the other side. Whereas everyone else, we get more subtle energy coming through that, but it's really all connected through the same like chakra portholes, right?
Exactly. In Chapter 6, there was a gentleman named Dave who had post-traumatic stress syndrome from some experiences he had at work. Mm-hmm. So he wanted a tattoo, and Damon Rowanchild, this amazing tattooist in Canada, tattooed the words to the song Shipwrecked on him, and then he added a water element so the water would keep a flow so he's not going to get stuck in those words. So afterwards I looked at the tattoo and I figured, let me try my hand at this and really delve into the symbolism of the tattoo. So I went through about a paragraph of basically analyzing the tattoo on the level of how it really hooks into your consciousness. Then afterwards, after the book came out, I got a really great email from Dave saying, wow, I never really saw all the symbols as meaning that. He goes, and now that I see that, he goes, it even has more of an effect on me where I feel so healed by this tattoo. So he did it to get over some emotional problems, but he actually experienced a deep healing from the tattoo. I love the stories that I heard, and the book could have been 3 times thicker than it is, but I had a word count to keep to because there were some stories that were amazing, but I couldn't put them all in. There were so many people out there that have these great experiences by getting a tattoo.
If you really did regret the tattoo that you got, let's say some years later, you said you can modify the tattoo, or there are removal processes, and maybe you can remove a tattoo and put something else on top. But there will always be, will there not always be that sort of impression from the initial tattoo?
Yeah, I cover that in Chapter 7. What do you do when you get an unconscious ink? You got a tattoo, or maybe you just went to a tattoo shop and it did not turn out the way you had envisioned. You can have it removed, which the one girl, Kelly, said is very painful to get it removed, and they only removed it up to a certain degree. But then you can transmute that energy. You can, all right, let's put something else over it, let's add to it, let's enhance it, and to get it fixed or a cover-up, they're beautiful. They're better than the original. And I also recommend afterwards to get some body work. Not only because I'm a Reiki practitioner, but I think Reiki is great because it helps move blocked energy. Of course, your consciousness is going to retain the fact that you hated that tattoo, just like your consciousness is going to remember that you had a bad experience at a certain restaurant you went to. But the thing is, like, you can start to overcome that. Body work, massage. When you massage the area, you're releasing the blocked energy in the muscle. So you start to work with it on all levels, from the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and you promote a healing. So nothing is left permanent. You can heal from things.
Yeah, and like you said, you can transmute the energy, right, and sort of transfer it into another form.
Exactly.
If you had, if you were to get one more tattoo, do you have anything in mind right now?
I was actually thinking about that. There are a few things that I saw. For some reason, I'm feeling a small minimalistic tattoo on my ankle. Something that I have to really contemplate what symbol I would want, but just something so you walk through life with purpose and being grounded. But I have not yet come up with the symbol, and then after that, I think I should be done. Although that original Pisces symbol on the back of my neck,
that was it, right?
Nick was looking at that tonight. I said, that was my first one. I go, what do you think? You think I can add to that, or do you think I can enhance that? It's an old tattoo. And he goes, yeah, it's a new you. You've changed over the years, so maybe your tattoo needs a little bit of a change. So maybe I'll work with that tattoo. That may be my next project.
Well, when I do finally get my tattoo, I'll have to ask you to come back on the show, if you will, at least for like maybe a short segment, so we can talk about that. That would be really cool.
Oh, I'd love to hear about your tattoo experience and how you felt afterwards. And when you get the tattoo, just kind of zone, and it's amazing the thoughts that go through your head other than you're there getting the tattoo. If you allow that pain to open the pathway, it's really not painful, though. I shouldn't say pain. I guess some people are more sensitive to pain. To me, it really didn't hurt. But just staying there and being very present in the moment and getting into it, it's amazing.
And I'm not trying to pin you down as like a tattoo therapist, but if someone had depression, what do you think would be a good tattoo, and where should they, or where might they get it?
Okay, if they're feeling really, really
if they're struggling with depression, exactly, yeah.
I would think somebody who's struggling with depression may want to get a tattoo that they can look at as a reminder, maybe the inside of their arm. And if the depression is something that they're feeling right now, maybe that's more the right side of the body, because it's something that's being created in the here and the now. Mm-hmm. So get a symbol that when you look at that symbol, you feel your power back, you take your power back. That archetype inside of you that wants to come out and say, hey, you are the warrior. And it doesn't mean you have to get a warrior symbol. Anything that represents warrior to you, maybe a wolf or an alchemy symbol, or even just some type of a sigil that you design yourself that means, I am strong, I will not be defeated. There are a million different things you can choose from, but something that's very personal to you and something that you can look at and as a reminder.
Yeah. Earlier we were talking about couples and, getting a tattoo of a name and regretting it later. But do couples ever go into tattoo shops? And I say this because I'm pretty ignorant about it. Do they go in together and turn that into a sacred experience together and get tattoos at the same time, much like friends do? Is that the sort of thing, a tattoos artist would turn away, or would that be more? Would they be more open to that?
Actually, there was some couple, I didn't put them in the book, but they had the tree of life, and the way they did it, she had it on her one arm, half of the tree, and he had half of the tree on his arm, and then when they stood next to the other was the whole tree of life.
That's really cool.
So I guess, there are people other than the ones who got the half a tree on their arm that do that. And I imagine it was meaningful to them. It could be a past life connection. It could be symbolic of the roots that they put down in this life. And hey, at least it's not their name. So I guess the taboo of having your lover's name sort of is bypassed if you use the symbol as a tree or whatever. But yeah, there's people that go in and get tattooed together, and a couple's tattoo. I'm sure that's popular.
Yeah. So if you were to, I don't know, get a tribal tattoo, do you feel like that can be sort of offensive to some cultures, because like sort of like appropriating their tribal symbolism, so like I'm a white dude, blonde hair, blue eyes, grew up in New Jersey, and then I go and I get a Native American symbol from a tribe, and I think it's cool and I put it on my body. Is that offensive to them? Because or could that be offensive to some Native Americans? I mean, or Samoans, whatever it may be.
I don't think so. Not if you're doing it with the right mindset and you're respectfully tattooing, and you're honoring their culture. You admire their tattoos. You respect what it symbolizes, and maybe you're embodying that in a prior incarnation. Maybe you were part of that tribe, and it's something that you want to bring out in yourself. So if you do it with the right intention, if you're just getting it, like I said before, research your symbols and know what they mean, because some of the tribal tattoos, you may get something and it's just a genealogy tattoo where you're just marking your family lineage, it's not really a tribal tattoo. But I think anything that's done respectfully, you can wear it, you can just like clothing, people can wear whatever they want as long as you're respectful of it.
So as long as you're not like, dude, that tattoo's so sick, I've got to get that, then we're okay. As long as it's not just, oh, that's really rad, I'm going to get that on my body.
But what I always say is like, do you really like that? And they go, yeah, I really like it. Well, why does it resonate with you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, I just like it. I go, I bet you had a prior incarnation or something connects you with that somewhere along the line. That's why you're resonating to this. It sometimes goes beyond just thinking like, yeah, that looks really cool. It strikes you. When you go out shopping for furniture, there's certain styles that you just really like. Why does it resonate with you? It's something that you're drawn to. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the tattoo. And in the book, I go through the different Celtic symbols and the Native American symbols, and everything is connected and everything is the same. Only it's expressed a little differently in each culture visually. But when you look at it, it's just like the wheel of the year is just like it's a mandala. Everything in a circle is a mandala. It's which one do you resonate with the most? Now I go through the whole thing in chapter 6 with symbols. So by the time you're done that chapter, you pretty much get it. It's about air, fire, earth, water, and ether. What elements do you really? Because we're made up of the elements. So what elements do you resonate with the most, or what do you feel you need to embody more to feel more complete? What do you want to bring out? When you approach it that way, it enhances your whole persona, everything, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's like, just because you say something looks cool, and that's your best way of describing it at that moment, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not resonating with you in some way. Doesn't necessarily mean it's purely some just superficial thing because it's a cool shape. Because we're visual beings, so symbols have an impact on us. Sometimes whether we know it or not. So we may not even be able to put into words why we want something on our body, or why we have a poster on our wall or a painting. Just something about it draws us in. Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me about, well, what about when we get like a sleeve tattoo, about the pictures? I said, well, you know what? There should be a flow to it, not only visually, but make sure all of these symbols are almost in a certain harmony to get the best effect. And some of these sleeve tattoos are beautiful, the way they just unfold. You can, when you really look at them, you can feel the energy in the whole tattoo.
Yeah, all right. So we're getting close to the end of the show here. So before we run out of time, Lisa, where can people find your book, or where would you prefer them to find your book?
My book is available on Amazon, Amazon UK, Amazon worldwide, Barnes & Noble, and other booksellers, bookstores carry it. If they don't have it, you can ask them to get it. But pretty much if you Google the name Conscious Ink, The Hidden Meaning of Tattoos, it'll come up with a whole list of different places where you can purchase the book. And
where can people find out more about your other work as well? Do you have a website you prefer them?
I have a website. It's just lisabarretta.com. Easy enough.
Yeah, and so briefly, because we have another minute here, do you have any plans on following up on that tattoo, topic, or because you had mentioned that you could write a bigger book?
The few tattoos that I looked at for people, and I guess you could call it tattoo readings, get into it a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. I would like to develop that more, and when I feel ready, maybe write about the experiences that people had with the tattoos, and how when you read the tattoo, you give them an awareness of like, oh wow, now I see why I got that tattoo, and I see how it has either enhanced my life or maybe attracted things to my life that I need to change. So get a little bit more into it besides just the shrink type of psychology. Let's go deeper. Let's look at the metaphysical side of the symbols. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you definitely touched, spend a lot of time on that, and here I feel is right to say. But I guess not as much as you would like, because you did take the time to sort of explain the symbolism. So in many ways, the book is like a dream guide book where you buy a book to learn about your dreams and what the symbols mean. However, I feel like this is more substantive than a typical dream book, because dreams are so much more fluid, and you can't just look at symbols in a dream, right? And just because I dreamed about a tree and I was walking down the street and something happened to me, there's so many things that happen in a dream. I don't think you could just break it down so easily. That's how I feel after reading so many dream books. Whereas this, I feel like it's much more straightforward, because this is a symbol that is stationary. It's on your body, and it means something, and you can learn what that symbol means and discover within yourself what it means on a subconscious level. And I think that's what's awesome about this book. It's definitely changed my future tattoo. And so that's it. We're out of time. I really appreciate coming on the show. It was a really enjoyable conversation, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear about your tattoo.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thanks, Lisa. All right, that's it. This is Alan B. Smith for Paranormal Now on the Inception Radio Network. I want to thank Joe Champion, MJ Lucas, and Bob Tarmac from IRN. And as always, live in the mystery. Take care, everyone.